Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
What a great day for Ashland County. For those who don't know or haven't met yet, my name is Eric Schneider and I'm the Director for Ashland County Park District. Today marks the beginning of a new chapter for nature-based programming in our community. This building, the Davy Outdoor Education Center, ushers in exciting opportunities for environmental education, community engagement, and lifelong learning in the outdoors. Although this project was already underway before I joined the Park District, it was one of the many reasons I was drawn to this role. The vision behind it, deeply rooted in both community support and conservation values, spoke to everything I believe parks should be. This is truly a community-based project made possible through generous public and private donations. Commissioner DeSanto will speak more about that shortly, but I wanted to take a moment to express 3 personal thank yous. First, my first week when I started here was my first Davy meeting, and that's when I was introduced to Simonson Construction, specifically Shaw, Andrew, and Aaron. Through numerous design changes and construction challenges, their professionalism, flexibility, and commitment to the project never wavered. Their work speaks for itself today. Second, to Return Polymers Incorporated, David, Perry, and Laurel, who donated all of the building's exterior finishes you see today. That includes the siding, column wraps, porch ceilings, and even more. But what makes this partnership even more special is their shared commitment to conservation. Nearly 1 ton of rigid PVC was recycled and reused to make this beautiful building, which aligns perfectly with our values. And of course, a heartfelt thank you to Bob and Jan Archer. This project would not have been possible without their challenge grant. Their leadership and generosity inspired others to give, making today a reality. While our original opening date had to be rescheduled, we didn't want to wait to welcome our first group of students. Over the past week and a half, we've already hosted 6 field trips here at the Davy. Our naturalist and volunteer coordinator, Mary Meixner, has led the way with support from volunteers, bringing outdoor education to life for dozens of students. To tell more about the Davy and our vision for future programs, I'd like to invite Mary Meixner to the podium.
Hi everyone, we're so glad that you're here today. Like Eric said, my name is Mary Meixner. I'm the Naturalist and Outreach Coordinator for the Park District. So since starting this position about 9 months ago, I've been hard at work living up to the dream and goals of this building and this space. This dream is very important to me. I grew up here in Ashland, and when I was growing up, we didn't have an outdoor education center. So this is a big day for our community. I think this is really going to fill a huge gap in our community. When I was growing up, we wanted to attend a nature program. We had to go to Mansfield or we had to go to Mohican. I still remember my parents taking us to preschool programs out at Gorman and hiking and canoeing in Mohican. So those early experiences I'm forever grateful for and for the effort that they put in. And now I'm really excited to be an integral part of bringing that here to our community. I think this is really going to make nature education, outdoor education so much more accessible for members of our community. You're probably aware of the numerous environmental challenges that we're facing today. I often find myself thinking about how we even begin to face these challenges. I think one of the ways is by learning more, by getting outside and spending time in nature, time that inspires wonder, understanding, and connection with the earth. And by getting our youth outside, our young people. This not only makes our kids happier and healthier, it also prepares them to be stewards and to contribute to conservation. And this is the goal of our programming. So since starting this position only 9 months ago, I've kind of built programming from the ground up. It was a rough start, kind of starting in the wintertime with the rough weather and not having a dedicated space for programming. So this is really exciting. We've seen consistent growth with our programs over the last 9 months. One of my favorites was a salamander safari that we did a couple weeks ago in April. Drew about 30 people to Freer Field on a Friday night to look for salamanders and other critters, so it was a lot of fun. Our homeschool program, which meets once a month, has drawn a consistent following of families and has become so popular that we had to open a second section. So we were able to see twice as many homeschool families now, which is great. And as Eric said, we've been busy with field trips already. So far, we've had over 250 kids come through these doors to experience our parks and explore nature and wildlife. This process also began back in August when I started. It was a huge part of the goal of this building. And I've worked with school administrators and teachers to build a field trip program that's curriculum based, that they feel like they can come and still their students are still getting, the knowledge that they need for testing and all of that. So I knew that this kind of outdoor education was needed in our area, but I didn't know how teachers would respond. So it's been really exciting to see that they were ready for it. This is something that we need. So 250 kids so far, over 450 are scheduled to come out on a field trip with us before the school year ends, so it's been really exciting. These kids will go home, tell their families, teachers will tell other teachers, and that nature education, that environmental awareness will continue to spread. And this is how conservation works. As we learn more, we know better, we do better, and we build that nature literacy in our community. So thank you to everybody who has made this possible. This is a huge step for our community, and I can't wait for you to see where we go from here as we continue to grow and educate and really contribute to the health of our community, both the people and the wildlife and the land. So thank you so much. At this time, I'd like to introduce the McClure family who are with us today to celebrate the legacy of Davy McClure. So please welcome Andy and Heidi, who will share a few words.
Good afternoon, everyone. For those who may not know me, I'm Davy's sister, Heidi. I moved away for college, and much to my father's dismay, I fell in love with city life, and I've built a life I love in Columbus. And while I never share Davy's love of fishing or hunting, I really do share a deep love for the outdoors, and I'm really excited to see this vision come to life. First, I want to express my deepest gratitude to the donors, the community partners, the volunteers, especially Rachel and the Friends of the Ashland County Park District, Bob DeSanto, Eric, everyone, every single person who contributed time, energy, and effort into making the Davy a reality. It was no small effort, and your generosity means the world to my family. I especially want to acknowledge my dad. His tireless, determined, and sometimes, let's be honest, sometimes stubborn commitment has been the driving force behind this project. If you've worked with my dad, you know that when someone disagrees or things don't go his way, he digs in even harder. But that stubbornness comes from a deep love, a love for my brother, and a passion for the legacy he wants to build for the future generations of kids to learn and appreciate the outdoors. Dad, I'm proud of you. And I am absolutely certain that Davy and Mom are smiling down on all of us today, and they would be proud of you too. Davy was someone who devoted his entire life to helping others, mentoring kids, connecting with his community, and as many of you know, taking great joy in driving the school bus on field trips. That's why I truly cannot think of a more perfect tribute than this center. It's the ultimate field trip, a space for kids to learn, explore, and grow in nature, just like Davy would have wanted. Thank you all for being here and for helping to create something so meaningful. This is a beautiful tribute, and we are proud to share it with you all today.
Well, I guess this thing's turned on, so thank you, Heidi. I'm not gonna say a whole lot. I think Bob is gearing himself up for one of his classic speeches that he normally does so well. Heidi mentioned that our family has had history with this property, and our grandfather lived right up the road, first farm on the left, the 200-acre estate up there. And it was sold to the stitch lines years ago. But I used to walk down here and feast with the old timers from the county home that we used to be here when I was just 5, 6 years old. You couldn't let kids do that nowadays, I guess. They wouldn't be able to cross 60 for one thing, but it was something that we was able to do and enjoy. And I worked with the farmers on the property to manage predators and so forth here over the years, I guess a lot of years. One little thing I was share with you, the day that Davy was born, I had fox traps set here on the property to keep the fox from eating the chickens that we're feeding our old folks here. And the day he was born, I caught a gray fox by 2 toes down here, right over there by them big trees. And I wasn't able to check the traps early in the morning because I had to go get my son out of the hospital. So I got them out, took them home, went back, checked the traps, and the fox had gotten out. He twisted his toes off. So I thought, man, that's a fitting behavior. I neglected my traps, which I hardly ever did. So regardless, about a week or 2 later, I caught the same fox missing the 2 toes in another set right up on the hill. So he went to some lady's garment, I'm sure, and I'm sure she was happy about it. And then years later here, when David took over some of my responsibilities in conservation, he was giving a speech at the Conservation Club, which we kind of took on and renovated over the years. He told the same story, but 30, 40 years later, he had changed the story from a gray fox to a red fox. And there weren't very many gray foxes, and he didn't think people would notice that the difference, so he just made it a red fox. No one actually ever knew the difference except for me and him after I scolded him, for changing the story. But there was a lot of different interaction from this farm, to our farm, and our families lived here in this area for many years, and a lot of good things going on. Another little story I'll tell you about him. He was engaged in this wildlife stuff his whole life because of my lifestyle, and I raised animals and game birds and so forth, and he was always picking up feathers to take to school and different things. And he got asked to do a program at school about trapping. So he gets out into my barn, he gets this old rusty #1 trap, and he brings it in and he said, "Dad, can I show him how to stick my fingers in it if it don't hurt?" I said, "Sure you can." So he stuck his finger, it didn't hurt, and he wanted to make sure people knew that the leg hold trap was just a device to manage predators, and it wasn't that hard on him. So he got ready to go to the class. I said, "Well, don't take that old dirty trap there. You want to take a clean new one, And he didn't think anything about it. So he gets in the classroom and gets up there and he sets the trap, and he's going to stick his finger in it, and he only stuck one in it, and that thing went off and really slammed his fingers. And he's sitting there with tears running down his eyes trying to explain why he is crying, and the trap's not supposed to hurt anything. So it was a pretty interesting story. He come home and told me, he said, "Don't you talk me into any of your ideas anymore." It was pretty interesting. There was a lot of different things. So anyhow, I'm sure Bob will feed off of what I told, and hopefully there will be other stories told here. I did tell Mary the other day, I stopped by there with a bus of kids here, and I said, we really want to capture the kids when they're really young, impressionable, kindergarten, and actually be pre-kindergarten if we could get them here. And I said, you don't need every student in the bus to pay attention. Half the students on the bus just want to take the trip to get out of school. The other half, if there's 4 or 5 in that group that really show super interest, they're the people that'll be like myself and like David and like Christopher and the outdoor type people. So you don't have to impress them all, just a few. So I think in the years to come, this will really impress a lot of people. So anything else I forgot, Bob, you can take up on it. Thanks again for all the donors that supported this event. A lot of these folks knew Davy personally and stepped up and it made a beautiful place for the community. Okay, Bob, you ready?
Thank you, Andy.
You're welcome.
Heidi, you said that a lot of people have worked with your dad. I don't know anybody that's worked with him. I know a lot of people that have worked for him.
Fair enough.
And everybody here that knows Andy knows exactly what I'm talking about. Well, folks, I am going to talk about the donors here, but I want to tell you just how important this was to Davy, that we have such a nature center to help our kids connect with nature. And I know Andy's worked hard on this to make this happen. And I want to tell you that about 2 days ago, I was sitting over there by the fishing pier over there. I was having lunch. I wanted to have a sandwich, and I was going to come in and watch Mary do a class in here. It was a foggy day, a little bit of rain, and a yellow school bus pulled up and parked right where you folks are standing. And I was over there looking at it, and there's been a lot of beautiful pictures taken of this building with the reflection of the pond. But that yellow school bus was like a beacon. And I looked at it, and then I saw all these kids coming out. There was 1,000 of them. And they had every kind of boot you could imagine. Yellow boots, boots that look like ducks, pink boots, everything. And they just come running out of that bus into this building. And at that point, it really almost got emotional for me. I called Andy, and I said, he answered, I said, Andy, it's finished. And I thought about that school bus, and there'll be hundreds and hundreds of school buses just like it, far beyond our lives. And they're going to be delivering Ashland County kids to this building, and there'll be people like Mary or her, others that proceed or succeed her. They'll be teaching those kids. And that's exactly what this building was built for. It is exactly what Davy wanted it for. It's exactly what this county needed. Then I come up after, because I want to see Mary do her classes. And I go in this building, and there are all those kids. Now, we have chairs. You all have chairs. These kids weren't sitting in chairs. They were sitting Indian style, cross-legged, in a circle around Mary, eyes focused on her, like riveted. And she's got a turtle and a toad, and these kids are excited. They're raising their hand. Every eye was focused on her. And it brought me back to Roosevelt Elementary School when I was that kid sitting in a gymnasium on the, we had pads. No, Eric, you got to get these kids pads to sit on. But there was Dr. Larry Tetzloff, otherwise known as Jungle Larry, if you remember him. And he was boys and girls, and he had all the animals from all over the world. And it was fascinating, and it never left me. And it even saddened me when Jungle Larry died. And that's what we're going to do here for the kids, okay? And it's not just the kids today, but forever. The other thing I want to say, I want to talk to you about the donors and some of the history of this. And I am going to take the time to talk about individual donors, and I have a list of them here. But is Mr. Ferguson here? Raise your hand. All right. I get a call from Ben Ferguson. This is how it all started, folks. I get a call from Ben Ferguson after Davy had passed away. He said he wanted to talk to me. I come to talk to him, and he said, "What can we do for in memory of Davy McClure?" Because one of the things I found out that everybody in this town has a connection to the McClures somewhere, okay? And Ben had a connection, and so we talked, and he kicked it off. He kicked the donations off. And at that point in time, okay, we've got some seed money, and then, of course, I started in the community, and I started with Bob and Jan Archer, who've just been so generous to this community in so many different ways. And came out here on a day like this. We had our old four-wheeler, and we started driving around here. And I wanted them to look at that beautiful view that we had, prettiest view in Ashland County. Looks like Ashland County was in 50, 60 years ago. I don't see a cell tower or anything there. Just beautiful farmland. And but the Archers didn't make it easy on us. They just didn't. They're going to take out, write us a check. No, we have to go raise money first. Oh, okay. Well, we did. They made a very nice challenge donation, and we went out and we worked hard and were able to gather the donations that are responsible for this building. And Eric has mentioned Return Polymer. That was an Andy McClure connection. And they donated, folks, this beautiful siding. Donated by the polymer people. And it turned out beautiful, I think. And you have, we have, is Dave Worcester here? Dave, where are you? No. You look at that parking lot out there, that big, beautiful parking lot. Thank him. Okay. Thank him for that. Donnie and Gene Myers, they were very helpful here. I don't know whether they're here right now. Ashland Elks, is Rick Wolf here? All right, well, the Ashland Elks was a big contributor to this, as well as the Finn Fur and Feather. You had Mike Kaczynski and his outfit. They were big supporters. Of course, they love the outdoors. The Ashland County Community Foundation, always stepping up. They made a very nice donation. Charles Rivers Lab, a big lawyer in this town, made a nice donation. The Ohio Eagles, members of the Eagles, nice donation from them. Jameson, Simonson Construction, of course, we've already talked about them. The well that was drilled here was donated by Jameson Drilling. That's a big event. That's big for us. Dr. and Diana Breckbuehler Charitable Fund. They always seem to be there whenever there's a good project. They're there. Lee and Susan Rennick, good supporters. Daniel Yoder, his parents Steve, and Steve's wife, Peggy Yoder. I'm sorry, and I know that well. Tom and Patricia Zupan, nice donation. Somebody called Bob and Judy DeSanto. Aaron Becker and Melissa Becker. Judy McFarland. McFarland. Is she here? Okay. Now the Ashland County Commissioners. I know there's Ashland County Commissioners here because I felt the wind blowing here. All right. This property belonged to the Ashland County Commissioners. And at the very beginning, right out there, kind of where that pavilion is across the lake, we stood out there in a wet, rainy day, the three county park commissioners and the three county commissioners, Denny Biddle and Jim Justice and Mike Welch, and we negotiated this property. And we thanked them for it. They made a nice donation and made this happen. We have Brody Schoen, a young man in this community who had a big prize at the Ashland County Fair. I think he won the prize for sheep. He donated his prize money, and it was big. It was a big donation to us. That was a young man that we really appreciated. The Samaritan Foundation, they were helpful to us. Ashland County Wildlife Conservation League, always a leader in wildlife conservation. They pitched in. Ann and Phil Myers just live over here. They were very helpful. Patricia Perez, I don't know whether Patricia's here, but she was a nice donor. And Michelle and Lamada Ellis, Dewey and Karen Meyer were very helpful. Dr. Garrison, Ann and Robert Beer, Bill Harris Auto, Coloring Book Solutions, Herschel and Virginia Bartley, Gerald and Ann Wood, Dr. Joanne Ford Watson, Bell Store, and Hazel. And it goes on and on. We've got Ted and Kathy Mitchell, Loudonville Livestock Club, Tamara Crane, Brock Rader, Richard Ellis, Jay and Lori Lockerty, Pauline Patton, Mike Kusick, Louise Fleming, and her husband, Jim. memorial for Thomas James. So it goes on. So that's, I've gone over a pretty big list there, folks. And I want to individually thank every person because that's not money necessarily that's coming from corporations. A lot of it's coming right out of their pocket. That's important. So, having said all that, I did want to also thank that are very important in this community. One of them is going to be speaking here today. But you have Senator Mark Romachuk, who is very influential in a very nice grant that's going to enhance this property tremendously. And your state representative, Melanie Miller, who's going to be speaking next, deserves a lot of credit for her assistance with us. They were people in the State House that saw the great vision that this is. And brought some of those tax dollars back to make this work. So Melanie's going to come up here now. One last thing I'm going to do. I'm going to read you a poem. Now, I'm not a very good poet, but I'll tell you, I remember years ago, I saw in a magazine a poem, and I framed it, and I kept it, and I've read it many times. And it's called Passing It On. And I'm going to read it, and I'm going to give you copies of it if you want it to hang on your wall. What magic there is in the togetherness, alone, unshared, undivided, far away in your soft green world, solitude, of things to fill the dreams of childhood. The music of the wind in the pines, firelight, night sounds. Only for a little while we will stand the tallest tree in the forest. Capture those fleeting moments. While a child is catching fish, fishing will catch the child. And that child will need the green world someone else gave to you. Pass it on. And all of those donors, I think of them and what they did in passing on this beautiful world that we have and all the kids that are going to benefit. Melanie, would you come on up here?
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, it's a beautiful day, a little windy and chilly, but the sun is shining and it is beautiful. I want to thank you all for having me here today, and this is very exciting for this grand opening. It's truly an honor to stand before you to celebrate this meaningful occasion. I know it is really a dream come true, and as I am standing in the back, it's so fun to see the children running and chasing after the geese, and just make sure you smile, doesn't it, to see children enjoying the outdoors. Well, today's celebration marks a significant milestone for Ashland County and every child and family who calls this community home. This brand new state-of-the-art facility includes 3,200 square feet of indoor classrooms, restrooms, and a patio, all located on 80 acres of beautiful Ohio land, and it is a beautiful, beautiful facility. It's designated as a place that isn't just for learning, but about discovery, a place where children can connect with nature in such meaningful ways. This building, more importantly, honors the life of our friend, Davy McClure, who had a vision of ensuring children in our community can learn about nature and its beauty. Davy was a beloved teacher, park commissioner, an outdoor advocate, and certainly such a humble and down-to-earth human being that everybody loved. I know today that you'll all join me in helping fulfill his vision and encourage our youth to explore all of what Ohio's parks and nature preserves have to offer, including this brand new facility. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Davy's vision and generous contributions from the many donors that were mentioned earlier, from the Friends of the Ashland County Park District, who raised nearly $250,000, and the state of Ohio. We were able to secure over $700,000, $500,000 through our capital budget, and then the one-time strategic community investment fund as well for this, as well as, of course, the generosity of the Archer family. This community's commitment to this project is what made this dream a reality. We are so grateful to have sponsors for this facility and the support to encourage our young Ohioans to engage in the great outdoors. I want to thank you all for having me today, and before we close, I have a very special commendation that I would like to present to, would you all like to come with Eric and the park commissioners, as well as, would you like to come forward, Mr. McClure? What would you like me to sing? Why don't you go ahead and accept this on behalf of this new building here. It's always an honor to present these very special commendations prepared by the state of Ohio. This commendation marks this very special grand opening and ribbon cutting of the Davy McClure Outdoor Education Center. This is signed by the Speaker of the House and myself, and we are just so thrilled for what this facility is going to mean to this community and to future generations. Truly, so we're very excited, and we congratulate you on this endeavor and making this dream become reality and keeping Davy's legacy alive through this facility of the outdoors. So congratulations.
At this time, we'd like to welcome everybody for a tour of the facility. We've got snacks and waters up here as well. So thank you all for coming on this beautiful day, and we hope you enjoy the program here in the future. Thank you.